That's crazy.
Bring the camera in the painting, like,
Oh God, that's wild.
oh man,
I love it.
All right, are we ready? Kyle's been ready. Let's do this. Oh God.
That's wild.
All right. Hey guys, welcome back to the Transformation Church. Let me start over. Hey guys, welcome back to the Transformation Church Message Recap Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Justin Oswald. Sorry, I messed up the first time. That's why they're laughing.
Yeah.
Back again with Brad Livingston, the lead pastor of TC. Nate Popejoy.
He is the lead pastor of Transformation
Student
Church.
director.
I am the student director.
You get a lot of cheers on Sunday from your little section when you say
I
you're
know.
student director.
I've been on the fence of how to address it. Do I stop and say, wow, guys, I appreciate that? Or
No.
I just don't acknowledge it. But I feel like that's kind of disrespectful. Or,
When your people hype you up.
yeah. And it's like, I'm trying to be professional, you know, and I kind of never acknowledge
Well,
it.
just
But
give 'em a
do
little-
I acknowledge it? All right.
Give them a little.
Yeah.
I see
All right.
y'all over there.
Because it's always in my head, like I'm not gonna acknowledge it, but then I'm like, oh, that's bad. Like
My
it's like I don't
people-
even.
those are my
Yeah,
people.
those are my
I can-
people.
yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
I would
So,
give them just a little.
yeah.
Give him a little.
I don't know about
Don't do all
that.
that.
That's
Those
us
are
right
teenagers,
there.
brother.
Yeah.
But
There's only dudes over there.
Yeah.
Zesty?
we are live. Yeah, but for real, no, I think it's pretty cool that they do that, and
Yeah.
it's very nice of them. So
When did you start making them do that?
I think that's just who I am, and that who I am,
Yeah.
goes into who they become.
Leadership.
So, yeah, I don't know.
I don't know what that means, but okay.
Well, you saw my Instagram story the other day. Aviana, she was like, "I'm gonna do Nate or like be who Nate is or whatever," and she comes in like, "Let's go! Oh my gosh, all that stuff!" And like, I'm like, "Oh, that's crazy! Like, is that really who I am?" But
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah. Yes, it is. And you know what? We need that.
We do.
Because on the other podcast with us is Justin.
Yep. What does the 8 mean on your hat?
Brooke Lidgertwood.
Huh?
She is a female Christian artist, worship singer.
Hillsong?
She was with Hillsong.
Not with Hillsong.
Is that
And so she has an album. She started with number 7, which is the number of completion in the Bible, and she created a number 8 album, and this is her album merch.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
I bet you they didn't even need like a graphics guy for that one.
No, I love this. I love the simplicity, but statement
Yeah.
that it makes.
What's
Because
the
people
statement?
ask. Exactly what you just asked. People ask that all the time.
Oh, okay.
And then I get to explain it. And the statement, I mean, this is a number of new beginnings, right? So, God began a new thing. And, it's, come on.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, you know,
So good.
Great.
I love Brooke. She's phenomenal. She's a great writer, too.
There's like a little fly going around or something here.
yeah. So if you see us swinging at air,
Yeah.
just know there's a fly in here that we've been trying to knock out of the air for the last 15 minutes. So,
Yeah. Man, it's
Well-
been a crazy week so far.
yeah.
Crazy week.
It's been.
A hot week.
It is, dude. It is warm.
It's warming up,
blazing.
boys.
We all
It's
played in the golf
warming up.
tournament on Saturday, and it was. I got a little red on my arms. Of course.
Yeah.
I had to bust out the old that thing that you put in water.
Yeah,
Put
the
around
cool
your-
towel or whatever.
Oh yeah.
One of those
yeah,
towels. I had one of those in my golf bag.
Yeah. Yep.
I just hit it.
Did you hit it?
I hit it.
Wow.
I don't know if it.
Luckily, I've got the I think part Indian, part Italian. So I go from red to tan pretty quickly. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
not me, but
no. All
Yeah, me
Irish
too.
over here.
yeah.
So
No, German.
German. Sorry, not
German.
Irish. German. Same thing.
Is it?
No, but
Like
I
you're
like the Irish.
good people.
good people.
You know, the Irish were really discriminated against when they first started
Yep.
migrating.
Yeah, it's like
Is
Gangs of New
migrating the
York-
right word to
Gangs
America?
of-
Immigrating to America.
Immigrating. Gangs of New
To
York
Amer-
movie and stuff like that.
Yeah,
was
they
like
were-
kind of.
It's funny
Talk
how
about that.
back then, like those were the minorities that everyone were like. I don't know if racist is the right word because they're the same race, but were
Discriminating.
discriminated against. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
I find that so interesting. It's so funny what people choose to not like or hate or whatever.
Well, it's because it's like the stigma. Like
Yeah.
You create a stigma, then you dehumanize, then you hate. You know.
And then people just fall in line. They just
Yeah,
follow
they-
it. They don't
yeah.
even know why.
They
They
don't
just
know
do
why.
it.
They want to be accepted.
Especially if
Yeah.
you're born into it.
Yeah, so they want to be accepted, so they just continue to do what they want to be. The people that they want to be accepted by, they do what they do.
That's crazy.
It's crazy. Who do you hate, Nate? The last person I thought I hate this guy was our waiter at the Buffalo Wild Wings in Prattville.
That was so fun.
And I hate to say that. Like, I have to repent about that. But
All right, hold
he's
on.
the one I thought to myself, I hate this guy.
What was? No, you didn't think to yourself that.
You said that out loud.
I felt bad about that.
And it was so fun. Well,
I had conviction. I had conviction.
Shouldn't have been waiting tables.
No, of course not, but still.
No, it's not that you hated him. It was just that it was just not. It was a bad scenario.
It was. It was.
It was not a good situation. To
Yeah.
full story here. Let's give you guys kind of what
I
happened.
think we told it.
We did talk
I
about
think
it.
we told it.
Well, then,
Yeah.
yeah, we went to play golf. Stopped at B-Dubs. Amazing wings in Prattville.
Very good.
Came back through. Not good wings, and our waiter was bad. And what was funny about it is you just said it. Like, we weren't talking about it. Like, we were just sitting there watching golf on TV, and you're like, I hate this waiter.
Well, because where I could see him doing other stuff, like
Yeah.
around the kitchen and stuff, and just like his whole demeanor was everything about him screamed.
I don't want to be you.
Yeah, and it's like he was kind of like half sweaty, and there was nothing worse than like a sweaty waiter, because I feel like the sweat's gonna like drip down onto my plate or something.
And he had 80s hair metal hair.
Yeah,
Long, like poofy.
yeah, he needed a
Sweaty,
hairnet, and he was kind of sweaty and just like. In my head, I'm thinking, like, what if his thumb, even holding my plate, touched a wing or something? Like, I'm kind of grossed out by the whole thing. Like, the whole thing was kind of weird.
So, anyways, that's the last person Justin hated. Yeah.
But I don't actually hate him.
No, of course not.
He's
But I
made
say
me.
hate. I mean, hate's a strong word. I
Hate's
mean,
a
as
so
much as
strong word.
we were told that as kids, like now as being like Christians having that conviction, it's like
Don't
hate
say
is like
you hate them.
yeah. Unless you do and you need to ask God to work
Repent.
on your heart,
You
repent
need to
of that.
repent.
I honestly don't think
Don't call
I don't
your
know that I've
brother
ever
rock.
actually hated anyone.
Yeah, I don't know if I ever did eat. Like I have. Like I don't know.
Like, I don't remember an enemy like that.
No, I've got a list.
Yeah, but you.
I've got a list.
Yeah, but you had.
I mean,
I'm
if
an
you've heard the
Enneagram 8,
stories,
dude.
but also, yeah.
No, I've got a list. But the Lord has worked on my heart.
Yeah.
I mean, there's been people I thought if I could, I would destroy them, but I don't know that I hated them. Is that a thing? I mean, is that possible?
Yeah, maybe I need to reconcile those two things in my own heart. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I would destroy you, but I don't know that I hate you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
You just don't align with.
Oh no, I think
The will of
I think
my
I
life.
hated them.
I don't know. I feel like in my life, I just am unbothered because once a person gets, close to that, I'm just like, you have no hold over what I'm doing. Because what I'm
Yeah.
doing is greater than what you could ever try and bring me down to.
Wow.
I mean, I
Is
don't
that
know.
a sermon in there you're working out? Yeah. He's working a sermon bit out.
Killing the giants in his life.
Yeah.
Maybe.
No,
That's good though. I mean, you're right.
Yeah.
No, usually I end up leaning into the usually I think it's as maybe a defense mechanism type thing, but I try to forget, I try not to get to that point. So most people I just choose to move on from, and I kind of people that have done me really, really dirty, I kind of just forget they exist.
Yeah.
Like Ashley looked at me one time and she was like, I told her, I was like, I forget these people breathe air.
Listen, I'm the
Until
same
something
way.
pops up and I'm like, yeah, you exist still. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But again, I think that's
I've just always
me being honest.
I think we've talked about this on the podcast in the past, but I think that's where we're similar. I have the ability to shut a door and end a
Yes.
chapter.
Yep.
And it's like I've talked about before, and I don't know how else to explain it, but I can explain it this way, where I don't miss people. And I think it can be bad. I'm not saying it's always good, but I don't know. It's I have a hard time. It's not like I sit around and I haven't seen, I'll use this as an example, and if they saw it, I don't think they'd be offended. I have some cousins that I've always been really close to since they were born. Really great cousins. They love my family, the whole deal. I haven't seen them in a while. And if I see a picture of them on Instagram or we're talking about them, there's I think to myself, oh, I'd love to see them. I haven't seen them in a while. So maybe that's what most people experience as missing. But I don't sit around oh my God, I miss him so much. I haven't seen, like, I don't dwell on it.
Me neither. Yeah.
And maybe it's just because we're busy. Like, like they're not doing that either. I don't expect anyone to do that about me, first of all. But like, they're living their life. I'm living my life. They're working and school and the whole deal. And I work and like, we all have our own life. And surely, if they saw a picture of me, they think the same thing. But I don't sit around like I miss them like that.
Yeah.
And I don't.
Same.
I don't know if that's good or bad.
I don't think we are. I just had this conversation with someone on Sunday. They stopped me in the lobby. I don't think we, as human beings, the way God designed us, I don't think we're wired to try to maintain relationships like that. Like, I don't think that, I think that, you know, it's, I don't remember what the statistic is. It's like a person can only actually like manage like
a few relationships,
10 relationships at a time or something like that.
Yeah.
So even if they are family, they still are taking up one of the slots, right? So it's like, I don't think we as humans are built to manage relationships or try to exist in those type of ecosystems constantly. I think that's why, not to take it to the Bible, but it's like leave your father and mother.
Yeah.
You know, like when a man gets married, he leaves his father and mother and marries his wife. I think because it's like you're at some point you may have to decide, and your love for one group is going to, like your love for your parents may not make it possible for you to love your wife and your kids properly or something like that. And so I think it's like at some point you do have to like pick who's going to be in that group for you, A. And then B, one of the things I tell people a lot, because a lot of times what people ask me is like, how do I draw boundaries? A lot of times people want to talk about boundaries. And it's like, you know, I got a mom that's this way or a grandma that's this way or a dad that's this way or a sibling or whatever. And what I tell people is like, you know, it's only been the last 50 years, probably even the last 20 years, that people have believed that they could maintain all of their family connections and all of their friend connections worldwide because of the internet.
Right.
I mean, you think about pre-internet, when you left a city, think about people we grew up in neighborhoods with, we never talked to again. And we could probably access them on Facebook, but like, we don't, or we didn't, you know, whatever.
Or it's like high school. You graduate high school.
It's
like,
done.
It's over.
It's done. It's over. It's like you thought these people were gonna rock with you forever, and you move out of that city or away from that, away from that street, and there's this disconnect. And I think that's a necessity. Like it has to be. And so when you're talking about a toxic family member or something like that, it's like and people ask me, it's like, is it Christ-like to draw those boundaries? And I say, I think it's biblical.
Absolutely.
To take that, what the heart is behind that, leave this people group so that you can thrive with this people group mentality towards relationships. So I think that's really important. Speaking of, that'll come up in the You Asked For It series. Just drop that little nugget in. That's like September or something. But anyways, all that to say is like, I think it's the same thing when you talk about people. It's like, I don't think we're wired to try to constantly pursue that many relationships in our life.
Well, and I also think that maybe I just at an early age came to terms with the idea, and I never sat down and thought of this, and I'm only thinking of it because we're talking about it, but it's like maybe I came to terms with the idea that as life goes on and you grow or get older and life moves on, that people evolve. And like, I have friends that some of the best times of my life were those times. But like, as we got older, we went down different paths almost.
Yeah, of course.
And it's like, do I miss those times? Yes, but they're never going to be back, no matter how much, even if we tried to make them come back. And if we did that, it still wouldn't be the same because we're at different places than we were. So the things that put us wanting to be together all the time now we'd probably get tired of each other, or like, I don't want to do those things anymore, so this is not fun. Like it's almost like there was a season, and again, looking back, like those may have been some, when I think back on certain periods of my life, they make me smile and it was a great time, but I'm never getting that again. And that, I think for some people that's a depressing thought because it was fun. Or it was like, we were young, you know, you're teenagers or whatever, and it's like, that was a time of my life, and I'm never going to have that again. I just think we evolve, and like now, whether it's you go on trips or you do fun stuff, it's a completely different group of people.
Yeah.
People that we were just like on the Joanne's bachelor trip. Yep. Some of those people I didn't even know 4 and 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Right.
Let alone having a blast with, you know what I mean? But it's like, and unfortunately, as time goes on, some of those people may make their way out of our lives at some point. You know what I mean? Like, that's just kind of what happens with life. Especially marriage does that too. You get married and like the husband or whoever, a lot of times if one of them has a different, maybe the more established career, one's this and have a higher education or whatever, you get offered a job and you move across the country. Like, those things happen, and they'll make friends where they go, and the person that one day was her BFF here will fade away and she'll have a BFF there, you know, type thing. Generally is how it works. And it's like, I'm okay with that, and I don't usually dwell too much on like the old stuff.
Talking about the wonder years, you know, like
and I think about it sometimes, but like I don't sit and dwell on the past like that.
We talk about.
I'm a future thinker, though. I'm always thinking.
We like to talk about the skating rink, but just because we have that in common, like I don't usually sit around and think about the skating rink, but when me and you are around each other and we hear a song.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I don't think about that all the time either.
Or 50 songs in a row.
And that's where we met and things like that.
We listened to a playlist in the car.
It was treacherous. It was terrible.
Looking back on it, listening to the songs now, it's like, these are really bad songs.
Egyptian house or something? Or
Egyptian lover.
Egyptian.
That's terrible. That was at 11 o'clock at night, not knowing if we were going to make it back to the house because Justin was falling asleep at the wheel.
Justin's falling asleep at the wheel. We were driving through a hurricane.
And
we're listening to
I was so aware of the fact
from the 90s.
That I'm falling asleep. Like, I kept saying, like, whoa, like I'm literally fighting for my life to
going
stay awake.
55 in a 70 down the interstate.
That's so
While
true.
it's pouring down rain.
He was actually fighting for all of our lives, technically. So
it was an unsafe situation.
Looking back on it, yeah.
I couldn't stay in the lanes, remember? I'm like, guys, I can't stay in this lane. Do you remember? Yes. And all the construction.
In a big Tahoe. And construction.
I could not stay in the lane.
That was a very dangerous.
And then Nate goes, did you ever hit that car back there? I was like,
bro.
Yeah.
It was wild.
That was the day I was in the river.
Yeah.
I ended up in the river.
Oh, yeah, that was the day you went overboard.
All that to say is, like, I've never just been a past thinker. I'm a future thinker. Yeah. And I think some people are past thinkers, and I don't know that that's bad. I think that would get old, but...
Yeah, it's only so much back there.
Yeah.
Gotta think about the future. Gotta think about where we're going.
Yeah.
Where we're going.
What about this? What about this thing that's out there these days, this manifesting?
Manifesting.
I mean,
what are you talking about? Like where you manifest, like where you think about things and they come to pass?
I was at even like EntreCon. You know, this is a secular event, leadership event, and there's like this husband and wife are like this keynote speaker, and they're like into real estate or something. They're, you know, they built a business or whatever, but they kept talking about a few years ago, 10 years ago, whatever, they got into manifesting, where it's just like manifesting the good. We manifested these things we want in our life and the success of our business, and I get the concept.
I think that's like the innate thing of Christ, because with Craig Rochelle's winning the war in your mind, remember winning?
Bro, ADHD
what the heck was that? Yeah,
really bad right now. I'm so sorry.
Craig Rochelle's winning the war in your mind. Your life goes the way your strongest thoughts go, right? And how do you think? And I think they're trying to spiritualize something that Christ innately put in them to like want to be positive, want to have those.
It's like the old book, The Power of Positive Thinking.
Yeah.
Like if we started a business to
Donald Trump's pastor.
For us to what?
Yeah, what?
That's Donald Trump's pastor. Vincent Peale or whatever.
Oh, stop.
That's what he said. He said that, not me.
That man ain't got no pastor.
That's what he said. That's what he said.
Yeah. He also reads 1 Corinthians. Yeah.
Corinthians.
He said that too.
Trump.
Sorry, just moving on. Sorry, I don't want to go there.
Trump. No, just kidding. No,
what I'm saying is, like, if we started a business, we wouldn't sit here and think about all the negative. We would think positive.
Yeah.
And you know, but so you're saying this secular people are spiritual, are secularizing this spiritual thing that Christ.
Absolutely.
Okay,
I think so.
Yeah, but is there something to it?
I don't think manifesting is such a weird word, right?
You only hear successful people say it.
I think manifesting is like
that's my thing. It's like you don't hear someone who put 10 years into a business and it failed going, I was manifesting and the manifesting didn't work. You only hear people talk about manifesting where manifesting worked because they succeeded, but maybe they didn't succeed because the manifesting, maybe they're just putting a word on it.
That's what I was going to say. My thing is like these two people, keynote speakers, has every single thing they touched been successful? Surely not. Surely there were some failures along the way. Did they manifest their failures, or did they learn from their failures, therefore producing the results of victories in certain areas?
Right.
But you don't get to call it manifesting, right? So if you manifested it, surely you wouldn't have manifested your failures. You right. So I think that, but I agree. It's like, now if we're calling dwelling on something continually as you improve it in your mind and you create a plan to execute it, and then you execute it and it does work and it's successful, and you call that process manifesting, I just call that planning.
Yeah,
So
which is kind of what Christians do too. They over spiritualize a lot of things as well, you know. So they could over spiritualize their hard work and grind.
Yeah,
and,
that's what I'm
you
saying.
know.
Like if you took time to plan it and you're kind of gifted for the area you're in, and a lot of hard work and a lot of patience and a lot of persistence, and then you get back 20 years and go, yeah, I manifested. It's like, well, you really didn't. Manifest to me is like, I thought it, and then,
Yeah,
that's not manifestation. What you did is you took 10 years to build something, and that's great. Like, good for you. I would rather talk about that than they lost when they started talking about manifesting. I was like, because you don't hear unsuccessful people talk about it.
KB, a Christian rapper, talks about that and is like how God is glorified in your grind, like God is glorified in your hard work. Now, we don't need to. It's not like the grind culture where you like go, you don't sleep and stuff. I know you need to rest, but God is glorified in grind. So when people are like, people get congratulated for all that they've done, like, oh, it's all God and all God. And it's like, actually, like, you put in the hard work. It's not like one day you just woke up and all like kind of like with what y'all did from like the beginning of like TC and stuff, like all the hard work that y'all put in, and like God was shown, God showed up and everything, but God is glorified in your hard work,
and it will sometimes it can come across as cocky because like especially if you're attached or a part of something that is doing something great, or something big or whatever, especially if it's a church thing. Thinking things is manifesting, right? Is what we're talking about. But like to say it's all God's, like, yes, I think to me there's some things that Christians say that's a given. Like, yes, of course it's all God, but He did it through us. He did it through me.
Correct.
Now, is that cocky to say that? Maybe. Should you not say that? Maybe. Is it wrong?
I think you have to
that?
check your heart. I mean, I'm sure.
Of course, but
like, where's it coming from?
It's almost like I don't know if I've ever said this before, but there are certain things. I got to think about how to say this. I don't believe everything I do in my role with this organization that I think God's doing big things through. I don't believe every little thing has to be prayed about because I'm doing it. And I believe God gifted me and called me and gave me the anointing to do it. So if I do it, it's going to be good. I don't have to pray in this situation today. Lord, I need you. I don't have to do that. I just show up and do the work because I believe that's part of the giftings that comes out. Just like if you're, I think that can apply to a lot of with giftings and then being in the right spot and anointing and all that. So, but to some, I can say that would sound kind of cocky, and I surely don't intend that to be the case. I'm not saying I'm great, but I'm just saying it's like I don't necessarily think about every. Like we just had a meeting. We won't talk about the content. We just had a meeting that's going to take some strategy.
That one will take some extra prayer. I'm not going to lie.
No, that's going to take. It's going to take prayer, but it's going to take God regardless. But what I'm saying is like, as the chips start falling and we get in a groove and we're moving with those strategies, it's just part of the natural prayer that you have every day. Like, Lord, I need you today to come through, and however, whatever that looks like. But I'm like,
light the path, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, but it's like I know there's a part of me that's like, well, you got the right guys for the job. This is a big job. This is a big task.
Yeah.
You got the right guys for it. And I mean myself even. That's like the cocky part is, I feel like I have the tenacity to do what it's going to take to do this thing.
Well, and I would, along with all of what we're saying too, that I think is important, going along with like what KB is saying, right? Is like the reality is like the same God showing up at a lot of these churches around here.
Yeah.
But they're not doing what, and again, I'm not saying we're better, We are growing. We are bigger. We are growing faster. I do think there are a number of things that a lot of churches around here could learn from TC, whether they ever want to or not, because we would love to help. We want to see the kingdom expand, but we're proud of what God is doing here. But at the end of the day, to say it's all God and not take the human factor into account, you're ignoring the fact that the same God of the Bible we could throw a rock and hit 5 churches from where we're at right now, and he's not showing up there the way he's showing up here in regards to what they're seeing happen in their church, which means there is an element of the gifting and the leadership and the systems and the strategies and all the things that come into play from the human element of how God moves through those things, right? And we've talked with quite a few other churches around here where it's like, guys, if you don't have to do things the way we do things, but if you would just lock into a few of these things, you could open up the opportunity for God to be doing more at your church. And sometimes they do it and sometimes they don't, right? But at the end of the day, I agree with you. It's like, yes, it is God to, like Joe said, that's a given. Like, it's a given that, we could create a crowd, but we couldn't create a church if it weren't for God, right? But at the end of the day, part of where we are has to do with leadership. It has to do with me, and I don't talk about me a lot. It has to do with me and some of the things that God spoke to my heart 11 years ago when it was just me and
right.
God. Like,
because the vision matters.
Vision, yeah. And,
there's a part of me that you just made a statement that we could attract a crowd, but maybe not a church. But then there's a part of me that says, but I could take that crowd and make it a church. In a way.
Yeah.
And what I mean is, it's hard to attract. First of all, attracting a crowd is hard.
Mm-hmm.
You can get them in the room, and then you have the right people present the gospel in the right way, and then you help them take steps to, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I think that's maybe the difference in where theological bents come in as far as why even people think maybe church exists, But
what I mean by that is I could create a crowd, but without God, it's not a church.
100%.
Yeah, so that's what I mean when I said it. But I hear, it's like at the end of the day, I could get a group of people in here to do something if we wanted to. I think that's just a natural gift set I have as a leader, is to pull people into a space and unify them. But at the end of the day, it's like God is what turns it into, puts us on holy mission and all those things. But like you said, I think that's a given. Like what KB is saying, it's like, all those things may be true, but at the end of the day, he works through people. Absolutely. And what we're seeing happen is really, really special in that regard. And it's cool, man.
Yeah.
So part of the conversation from the room that we were talking, it's like, at the end of the day, like, the people matter. So we have to, you have to recognize that. But
it's just like, I've said this, it's somewhere in my notes in a message I did, but it's like, God doesn't need us at all to reach other people, yet that's how he chooses to reach other people.
Right.
Because there's something about the process and the journey of that I think is important.
Right.
But anyways, that's fun.
Yeah. Manifesting.
Wow.
Yeah. So I don't think we manifested this building. I think we just looked at 27 of them and
no.
There were 28.
I did not. I don't think it was manifesting. I do know for a fact that 2 weeks before this building, we looked at it. I rode by here on my way to my friend's house in Beulah, and I thought to myself, Lord, I hope you give us a building like that someday, because I saw on one of the buildings it said gym, and I knew that would be cool to have. You know what I mean?
Wouldn't it?
Literally in front of this.
Yeah, right.
You know what I'm saying? In front of this property.
This exact property.
And then 2 weeks later,
You manifested it.
I didn't. No.
Yo, that's crazy.
There's definitely
Clip
a joke.
that. Clip that.
In case you don't understand sarcasm, that was a joke.
Heresy.
But what I'm saying is, like, so in the car, and I said that, is that a prayer? And did he answer it by giving us this building, the very one I asked for? What if I rode by another building? Would we be in that one? I'm not saying because it's all me. What I'm just saying is, like, or it's just all part of the. It's all part of the plan anyway. It's
well,
just
the
like,
overall sovereign
that
plan
goes back
of God.
That goes.
Hey,
Yeah.
wow.
Talking about God's sovereignty. That's when when I teach prayer and pipeline. One of the things I teach people when it comes to prayer is the divine invitation of the divine to partner with Him in His plan in His purpose. So it's a divine invitation from God to partner with Him through the Holy Spirit. And so I believe when you drove past this building, the Holy Spirit put it on your heart to look at this building and say,
Right.
God, it would be great if you gave us that.
So here's
You know what I mean?
here's an opposite flip of that. It's like I remember years ago there was a on TV they did a whole special of the guy who tightroped across the Grand Canyon,
Yeah.
right? And he's a Christian, and he had the long stick, and he had a balance, and he had a tightrope, and there apparently was like no net, and like it was for real. And he's mic'd up the whole time, and the whole time he's doing this, he's praying. Which I thought was kind of cool because he's on national TV, you know, praying, using the word Jesus and, you know, all this. But most of me was going, just don't do that.
Going tightrope?
Across the Grand Canyon with no safety net.
Yeah, right.
Like, to do something that stupid and then pray, Lord, keep me safe. I think the Lord's up there going, bro, just like, don't step out.
Maybe he is.
You know what
Maybe
I'm
he's
saying?
not.
Come on, I can't be the only one.
Maybe he's
Yeah,
like,
I
you're
mean,
going to
yeah.
glorify my name to many people and go
Yeah.
walk across this Grand Canyon.
Yeah.
I don't think he's
by
gonna-
using your gifts that I've
That's
given
not a
you
gift.
to.
That is not a gift. It might be a talent, but it ain't a gift. That's not a gift.
Yeah,
It may be a talent.
Courage is the gift.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know.
That's stupid to me. You know what I mean? That is real stupid.
I was gonna have him come here and walk between our buildings on the tightrope.
I mean, for what? What does that do?
Nothing.
Yeah. I don't know.
Nothing.
You know what I'm saying though? Like
I do.
that is
Yeah.
to me is like that. Like is God up there? I just can't. I imagine God up there going to Jesus like, "Hey, look at this dude." Like kind of laughing about it. Like we love him and all, but like this is stupid, right? You know. You know what I'm saying? Like surely
Greater
they're
works will you do in my name.
Is sports? What do you mean?
Like someone wins the Super Bowl and they're like, "Praise, I'm all the glory to God."
No, I think that is a little different. I don't think God cares. I don't think God cares who won the Super Bowl. But I do think there's something to like putting in the hard work, and if you think you're gifted and all those things, and like if I was going to the Super Bowl, I'm praying ahead of time. I would say that. Like I don't want to get hurt, and you know, and.
But to think it's about the Super Bowl.
As a Christian, I think if I won, you give me a platform to then use that to talk about Jesus.
Yeah, it's not
more.
about the Super Bowl. It's about the platform.
Sure.
At that
So,
point.
you know.
So maybe it wasn't about the tightrope. Maybe it was the platform that drew the crowd
Maybe it's
for
so
the
stupid.
tightrope walk.
that's still dumb. Like, because here's the thing: one little slip off of that rope and he's dead. Then everybody's like, "Oh, the prayer
Or
stuff doesn't
angels
work."
catch him.
Yeah.
Ain't no angel catching
yeah,
nobody.
right.
Yeah, that ain't happening. That's just dumb. So,
The
anyways,
Holy Spirit.
I just think that there's, you know, and I'm preaching on the 7th.
Yep.
And I'm going to work this out. We'll have it as a conversation. Maybe this will be in my sermon. There are some
Stupid tightrope walker.
Stupid.
There are some things I don't need to pray about because I have a structure. I don't pray about paying my bills because I have a structure in my life to make sure my bills get paid. And I think some people in their life need structure, not more prayers. Like, stop making bad decisions. Like, stop spending more money than you make. Then you don't have to pray every time you're trying to make the power bill and you're hoping your card goes through when you put it in online and doesn't get declined because you spent too much money on. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't have that problem because I have a structure. I never pray when I'm paying my power bill that, Lord, let this card go through, because it's going to go through because I have a structure. I pray for things like, you know, don't let me get in a wreck today. Like, prayers are for the things the structure doesn't exist for. I want my mom and dad to live a long time and want to be healthy. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's to me what prayers exist for, is where my structure can't be. And I think too many people just need a structure for their life, not necessarily more prayers. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I wouldn't say I'm sound enough knowledgely and theologically to go off of what you're saying. So it makes sense to me, but I can't be someone that's like,
Yeah,
I would be learning from somebody sitting right here talking about it.
Yeah, that's kind of in my head. I'm like, that thought. I don't know. Like, I don't know if you got a Louis Vuitton purse but got a cavity in your mouth, your priorities are out of whack. Like, you got no business having Louis Vuitton in a cavity. You know what I'm saying? Like, that type of thing is where my head is. It's like, we got our priorities out of whack in some areas. And then, so what Christians do is like, I got my Gucci wallet, but then you get in a wreck and you're putting the GoFundMe out and asking for everyone to be praying because you can't get your car fixed. But 3 weeks ago, you was bragging about your Gucci belt on or whatever. It's like, what are we doing here? Like, I'm not giving to that. I'm not helping.
So maybe
you with
there's a root issue there that's deeper than the structure and the. I'm just saying, like, Louis Vuitton, like an idol identity crisis.
So many people want prayer for things that you see on social. Pray for me for this. I'm having a tough time. I'm like, well, a month ago you was at Disney. How are you having a tough time now? You were just at Disney. Yeah. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
And you want me to pray? And you want me to give and help you? I'm sorry. My structure don't allow that. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I don't know. It's like, I'm not praying when I swipe at the grocery store on my card. And it's not because I make all this money and I'm better than everybody else.
That's very true.
I know there's funds there.
Because he doesn't.
Because I got a structure for that. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I hear you. I think, and I think a lot of,
I'm thankful that those funds are there, and I pray for things like when I'm thanking God for the blessings in my life, like having a job.
Sure.
But I'm not necessarily praying like, oh, like you're at Walmart in the line and they go to swipe your card and like, Lord, dear Jesus, let this transaction go through right now.
Right.
I'm not doing that.
Right. Yeah. Well, and I think too, it's like, again, I think Christians don't understand God's sovereignty. I think there's a lot of things that, as Christians, we just don't really understand, and even prayer, like, it's like, I think, kind of going with what you're saying, is like, I think God called us to pray for the things that are truly out of our control, not for the things that were in our control and we just screwed them up, and now we need God to fix what was in our control, but we mismanaged what was in our control, and now we're praying God does something different with them. Like, that's,
Or you hear people say to that, like, the devil's, the enemy's after me. It's like, nah, you just made a bad decision.
Right. You know
what I'm saying? Like,
well, like,
and we've all done that. But
because I think the more appropriate thing would be going along with what you're saying. I think if you're going to pray about something when it comes to your finances, what you need to pray about is, do I give this money to build that home for that family in Peru? And if I do, God, it does mean that I'm going to need you to show up over here. So I'm trusting you to show up over here because I want to be obedient to what you're calling me to over here.
Yeah.
I think that is a different prayer than what you're saying, which is like, we're going to go to Universal 3 times this year, and then come October, we put all this money on credit cards, and now we're, it's whatever. It's like, well.
And then the legacy offering and stuff is up, and it's like, well, can't give
or
to. Or
just their rent.
Or rent, whatever.
Take that out.
But yes,
where God, like what you're talking about, where God is calling
so I think
give.
that it's just, it is all those things. It's like, I think Christians oftentimes are praying about things that God has already decided. And I think Christians oftentimes are praying about things that God has already given them instruction on. They're just not doing what he's instructed them to do. And so they're like, God, please. And God's like, brother,
and there's a part of me, because I know if I do something, I'll work hard, wherever I've always worked hard, and I've always believed in myself. And I think there's I think I can list out a whole lot of things I can accomplish on my own. I don't necessarily pray. I want to pray for the things that I can't accomplish on my own. You know what I'm saying? Like, to be able to do this, there's no way I can do that on my own. It would take God, it would take God's people working with me or whatever. Like, there's no way I could do that on my own. To me, if not, I feel selfish. Maybe it feels selfish. Like,
yeah, I mean, I'll add the preface line, which is like, we can't do anything without God. You know what I mean? So everything we do is because God. Like, I'm going to add that for the sake of clarity, with knowing your heart. And it's like, without God, technically, nothing can happen, right? And God has graced us with the gifts and the talents to be able to execute in certain ways that we can do things far easier than some people could do. With that said, yes, there are certain seasons of our life where we need supernatural wisdom or supernatural income or whatever.
Yeah.
And yes, I 100% agree with you. Yeah. There are certain areas that we move a little more fluidly in, because God has given us what we need to be able to operate in those areas.
Well, in the last couple of years in the financial realm, I felt like God's been dealing with me a little bit, where it's like, because we work in ministry, and I have now full-time since 2000, 2010, I think, or no, that's not right.
You got here in 17.
2014. 10 years. I've been in full-time ministry. 2014. It's not like we have 401ks and stuff, right? So it's kind of on us to figure retirement out. And when you're younger, that's not really something that's on your mind. You know what I mean? But one day I was sitting around thinking, like, I heard something on a podcast where it's talking about how much harder it is and how longer people are having to work. And I was like, I don't want that to be me. Like, I want to be financially independent, especially as I get older, where I'm not having to necessarily rely on, like, what if Social Security is not around or doesn't, like, you know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Like, I don't have to rely on anything, but it's like, I'm also starting, like, if I was thinking about this 2 years ago, I mean, I'm in my mid-30s. It ain't like I started at 20. I've lost 15 years of, like, what compound interest could have done
Sure.
in an IRA or something. That's a lot, you know what I mean?
Huge.
So I was thinking about, well, you got to start at some point. And then I was, like, thinking ahead now. And there's, like, the Dave Ramsey every dollar app thing is free. And if you go on the computer side of it, there's, like, tools. It's like you can, like, work backwards on what age would you like to retire and how much would you like to have and how much do you currently have saved. And it shows you, well, if you want this and you currently have this, you need this.
Yeah.
And then how do you do that? So the last couple of years, I've been working really hard on my personal finances to, like, try to obtain some of that, you know? And it's like I almost want to brag about it to show people that it's possible without making a ton of money. Because we work at a church, like I'm not making what, you know, six figures and things like that. I mean, we're not doing that here. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's not like I'm making a lot of money, but what's possible when you put your mind to it. Right. You know what I mean? And I want that for other Christians, because I do like the Dave Ramsey saying of, like, imagine what God's people could do in God's kingdom if we didn't have stupid debt and stuff, like all these outrageous credit card bills and stuff like that. So, anyways, but I think that's where God was dealing with me, because I was spending a lot of money, like, eating out and stuff like that, you know? And it's just like, man, come on. Where it's like, the hundreds of dollars a month I'm spending eating out are costing me thousands in my retirement. You know, and I don't want to be retired one day needing this money where I could maybe not have to work and could be retired with grandkids or something, and thinking, yeah, but at least I got to go to the restaurant a couple times that month. It's like, that's what's going to be in my head. It's like, I could have forewent that to have this. So anyways, it is possible. It's like, it doesn't take a lot when you put your mind to it.
I like that.
You know,
I feel
and
convicted.
that's where I'm headed.
I feel convicted. Yes,
that's where I'm headed. Honestly,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have I don't have college debt, and obviously most people medical debt. There's a reason you have it. You can't help it, right?
Yeah.
Luckily, I've been fortunate. I don't have college debt, medical debt, or credit card debt.
Yeah, and I wouldn't say that's bragging. I would say you're very passionate about it.
I am.
And I
want
see
that
your
for
heart.
others, yeah.
I see your heart in it
because I want to be more generous.
Absolutely.
And you can't be generous if your money's tied up going to a debt collector or a bill, you know, a credit card bill or something.
Yeah.
Well, I've been around you enough to know it's like you've also just been a good steward.
Yeah.
I have. Yeah.
I mean, there was a.
Well, I could have been better, but
sure. But I mean, there was a 2.5 year time frame where you were like, you had talked about getting a new car for like 2.5 years, and it's like, it just didn't make enough sense for you financially at the time. It was like you could have went, traded in, got upside down. You could have done all those things that a lot of people do.
Yeah.
But you're like, no, let me
ride this Malibu a little longer.
Let me ride it a little longer. Let me be faithful where I'm
it was
at.
still a little Malibu.
So yeah, so I just think that's like, you know, that again, good stewardship is it's a leading of the Lord to be good stewards. So
well, because it goes back to, like, if I did hear of a need, I'd love to be able to act on it. To me, there's nothing worse. Like, I would almost feel like, as a Christian, but maybe even not just as a man or whatever, but like if I heard of a need in the church of a family or something, and I felt like God was putting it on my heart to give to them, but I couldn't.
yeah,
I would, you know what I'm saying? Like, that would just,
that'd be rough.
I would be like, man, I can't, or else I'm going to be asking for help. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to be in that position. I would rather be able to just go and give whatever God said give, you know, $100 or 500 or whatever the number is, and know that because I have this structure and I've done well and I've planned and I put pencil to paper and done calculations, and this is what I could do that. You know what I mean?
I just want you to know, I drove past your house the other day, and I told God, I would really love to have no, I'm just kidding.
It's not for sale.
That did not happen.
That being said, everything's for sale.
Yeah, right, exactly. Well, right on, guys. Glad we had this little chat.
That's
Glad we had it with all of you. We love you
That
guys.
was a fun chat.
That was good.
Did we talk about Sunday at all?
No, we didn't.
No,
Sunday
we
was
sure
good. We
didn't.
started invited to the cookout. That's
Invited to the cookout. Yeah.
exciting. Everybody all over Facebook. I'm invited to the cookout.
I got in a big high chair on Sunday
Yeah.
with a pacifier.
That was something to.
Yeah. It was
Something to see.
funny in the first service. I was like, man, is this gonna be too? Are people gonna not receive this? This is too harsh. You know, like
Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah.
the whys and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't think it was too harsh. You know, looking back,
No, I think it was good.
I thought it was good because I think you're gonna get your point across without harping on
Yeah.
like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, you know, you gotta do it. Gotta confront.
Rustle some feathers.
Russell.
Ruffle.
Ruffle
Oh,
some
that's
feathers.
wild.
Man, this man's rustling
That's
someone's feathers.
crazy.
Do you always say Russell?
Rustling
Ruffle.
someone's feathers.
Ruffle. Maybe I just misspoke. That's probably what it was. Yeah.
Feathers. Feathers.
What
did you
yo,
say?
what?
Ruffle.
Rustle some
Rustle
feather.
some-
Sorry, guys.
Golly.
Sorry, guys. I misspoke. My bad.
It's like we all do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It happens.
No, I just couldn't repeat what you said. Like,
Oh,
I was
okay.
having a hard time
Gotcha.
remembering what you said.
Russell.
Russell,
Yeah,
some
no,
feathers, yeah.
we did. I mean, at the end of the day, it's like a vision message, right? It's like, this is who we are as a church, and this is where we're going. And the reason we got here was because God really, has graced us to have vision and know who we are and have clear direction. And, sometimes, sometimes people unintentionally can disrupt that unity or they're like, well, I don't necessarily agree with this. And it's like, well, this, it's who we are. Like, you don't have to agree with it, but, what do you say? You don't have to agree, but we do have to align.
That's it.
Come on.
So, if yeah.
Yeah, I think you can really, when somebody comes in and starts becoming a part of the culture of TC, you can have the mask on for so long, but if you don't align yourself with the unity and vision, even with the diversity and all that stuff, it's gonna stick out.
100%.
And you're gonna hate it. You're gonna
only
get
fake it.
upset.
You can only fake it for so long.
Oh, absolutely. And it's sad, that people are like that, but it.
Well, it's like,
Well-
sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say the beauty of having so many churches in an area, though, is that we obviously know this is not going to be everyone's cup of tea necessarily. Especially if you want something a little more traditional,
Yep.
which I understand the want for that.
Yep.
That exists for you. You know what I mean? So, it's like, I would hope when any church talks about their church, they do it with as much passion as maybe you did, because you had to say I'm not saying we're better than other churches, but we are proud of who we are.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I think that you should be proud of your church.
Absolutely.
And if you're a pastor at a church and you're talking about your church, if you're not proud of what you have, then I think that's something you need to go behind closed doors and figure out. Why are you not getting the product you would be proud of? Is that a leadership thing? Is that a systems thing? Whatever. But we are proud of it, but we're not better, but we are different.
I think, and I do think too, it's again, we've talked about, kind of stuff we were talking about earlier a little bit. It's most people will have no idea what it took to get what we have.
Oh yeah, no.
The amount of work and the amount of labor and the amount of literally what felt like, birthing a baby, as far as just anxiousness and time and investment and pain. I mean, a lot of emotional pain in the process of
Emotional damage.
emotional, yeah, of wanting people to go on a journey with you that didn't end up going, and because you believe so much in the culture and what God called you to do that you had to say goodbye to them because you knew what God called you to do. All those things are just really costly. So it's most people don't have any idea of what it took to get to where we are, and you're not really supposed to. But that's the reason why we're so passionate about it, is because it's we could have taken the journey that so many other people do or so many other pastors do and just taken the easy road, but we didn't. We chose to take the road that we knew God called us to build, ultimately what we have now, obviously through the power of the Holy Spirit and his prompting and his leading, but we put in the work and we are proud of that. But it's also the reason why it's not for sale, right? Where it's we talk about all the time, it's people try to hijack the culture or they try to buy the culture, and it's no, it's not for sale. So it's I don't care. You can't walk into my office and be like, well, do you know how much I give? And I'm going to stop giving if you don't do blank. I'll be like, brother, we made it before you and we'll make it after you. You know, I've actually said that to people before. Like,
and you don't know how much they give.
I really don't. Yeah.
And can I be for real for a second? All right,
Yeah.
don't hate me for this, but it almost like gives me joy when someone tries to go against the culture, because I get excited to be like, nah, this is the culture, and like, you know, stop that, because it's like, this is who we are, because I'm proud of who we are. So it's like, I don't know if that's
Because
bad,
you're a part of it.
because I'm a part of it. I don't know if that's bad, but you know, I don't know if like I just enjoy the challenge, or
I
like,
think
you know,
there's strength in the culture, and yeah, I think it's like when it does get tested a little bit, you're kind of like, I do get like what. It's kind of a reminder of like we are in the right place, like we are doing the right thing. And I think it's like that's a healthy, when people push back against it, the opportunity to come in and go, oh, no, let's fix that, is the opportunity to make sure we stay who we are, right? And it's like, so I think
it's like I got my family's back, like, you know, it almost like brings you closer. It's like, nah, like let's
this is who we are, it's what we do.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, I totally agree, and I think that you know, we see that happen all the time. I was telling someone the other day, they were asking me, it's another church from up north, we were talking about culture language. And so we were talking about like, we don't use certain words, you know? And they're like, well, what do you say? I was like, well, it's like, we don't have to do this. We get to do this. We don't say sanctuary. We say auditorium. We don't say, I don't agree with that. We say, tell me more about that. I'm trying to think of other ones that we have around here. We don't say volunteers. We say dream team.
Yeah.
We don't say work. We say serve. Like, so don't work in the kids ministry. We serve in the kids ministry. So just like we have all these culture phrases. There's a lot more. I just can't think of them right now. But he was like, so why does that matter to you? That like that kind of seems foolish, is what he essentially was saying. Like, why does that? Who cares? Like, if they say serve or work, who cares? If they say sanctuary, auditorium, who cares, right? And I was telling him, I said, you know, I was in the music industry for a while, right? And one of the things I was able to do was be around some higher, like some big artists, you know. Most of the bigger artists that I was around, I didn't play for. I just got to be like around. But I've seen Mariah Carey and Mariah Carey's writer and the Rolling Stones writer, 311's writer. I've seen
a writer is it's like a list when you're booked for a show of like things you want around or things you need.
Yeah.
You want. I like Coke. Don't put Pepsi in my dressing room. Put Coke.
Yeah, but so there's big things on the rider and there's small things on the rider, right? So the big things on the rider, it's like, I need to make sure they have this microphone, this, you know, a lot of times they bring their own soundboards and stuff now, but back in the day it was like this microphone, this soundboard, this PA system, it needs to have these monitors, I need to have, like, it was very particular. I need to have these things, these are very important. I need this in-ear pack. I need
how much
this.
electrical is required or things like that in the venue.
You need to know that they have enough electrical for, I need this LED wall, I want these cameras running. It's like all these things that had to be there when they got there. A lot of times now, touring, different rigs will show it. They bring the rig with them, but this was, you know, back in the day a little bit. And anyways, or like festivals. So like if like Mariah Carey is going to sing at a festival, she's not bringing her own PA system.
Yeah.
She's going to be on whatever microphone they have. So they have to make sure they have her microphone for that festival, right? Gotcha. Anyways, looking at writers, and one time I saw Mariah Carey. So I was looking at her writer, and I was like, it said no yellow M&Ms in the green room, and I was like. And most people would think like that's kind of diva. That's
lunatic.
That's kind of diva, right? Yeah. And so I was talking to Larry, the producer that worked on her album, that I was able to go. She wasn't there, but I saw her writer because she was at the event or at the venue that I was at a few weeks before. And I was just looking at the writer, and I was talking to Larry about it, and I said, you know, it's like that's so diva. And he's like, brother, he said that has nothing to do with. He said I would be willing to bet Mariah and Carey doesn't even know that that's on the rider list. She didn't put that on the list. Her agent put that on the list. And her agent put that on the list because when he walks in the green room, he knows that microphone's right. He doesn't have to walk all the way up there and tell the sound guy, let me look at the microphone. Okay, you got the right microphone. Because if they got the M&Ms right, then they definitely got the microphone right. He said that is a litmus test. If he walks in and there's yellow M&Ms, now he knows he's got to go through that whole writer line by line and make sure that the microphone's right and the soundboard is right or whatever, because they didn't do the small things. He doesn't trust that they did the big things. And it's the same way with, I was telling the guys, like, it's the same way with our language. Like, does it matter that someone calls it a sanctuary? No. But if I walk through the hallways of my church and I hear sanctuary over and over and over again, that's a litmus test for us to know there's a breakdown in our culture somewhere. Doesn't mean we're bad. It just means something. There's a standard that we try to hold that's dropping, and we got to find out where the break is so that we can fix it. Because now, if people are calling it a sanctuary and we call it an auditorium, are they also, gossiping in small groups? Because we also don't do that.
Yeah.
If they're not paying attention to the small things, are they not paying attention to the big things too?
Yes.
That's good.
So, so all that to say is, like, when you get an opportunity to address something, it's an opportunity to me, it's an opportunity to right the ship.
Yeah.
It's like, that's fine that you got out of line, but I'm going to make sure that we get it back on course, because we're all going in the same, we need to be going in the same direction, right? So there's a little story for you about culture.
And that really bothers me that person's like, the fact that they're like, that just seems like, what was the word that they said? Not ludicrous, but your culture, language.
Outlandish,
whatever.
Foolish.
That just,
Foolish, yeah.
I don't know why that rubs me so wrong. That tells me so much, because it's like if you watch the movie about Steve Jobs, the one that
the Ashton Kutcher one, or
the Ashton
other
Kutcher one, there's a scene in there where they're going over the software, and he keeps bringing up the different fonts. Steve Jobs is one who introduced different fonts in the word processor, because he took a college class of calligraphy and he appreciated all this. And anyways, in the scene, he's like, okay, now show me where the different fonts are. And they're like, we're not going to be able to do that to meet the deadline that you set it up. And he goes off. And one of the engineers is arguing with him, and he fires the guy in front of everybody. And then one of the other guys is like, you just fired like the best engineer. And he's like, he's the best engineer who doesn't appreciate or understand our vision.
Yeah.
We don't. He's not the best if he's not going to be part of the vision. And ultimately, it was just kind of like, I appreciate that. Like, yes, maybe he could have done it in a softer way or whatever, but like his passion was for this product.
Yeah.
And there was a why behind it. There was a reason. And for someone not to get that, it's like, you just don't belong. You're not a part of this, and it's obvious, and that's okay.
And I was just about to say, and that's okay.
If that's how you want to work, go to IBM.
Yes.
But at Apple, we're gonna have this.
Yeah.
And that's how I even feel. Is like, if you don't like that's cool. Go to whatever. But here, this is how it is.
Yeah.
Not that we're firing anybody or anything like that, but it's like you get the passion, because it's like Steve Jobs went off.
Yeah.
No,
100%. Well, and that's the thing. It's like it goes back to what you said at the very beginning. What a way to close out this podcast. Goes to what you said at the very beginning, which is like, there's a reason why even though the same God is showing up at many different churches, certain churches are doing things that other churches aren't. Again, I'm not saying we're better. I'm just saying we celebrate the fact that we know what God called us to. And I think a lot of churches major on the minors and minor on the majors. And I think culture is a major that a lot of churches minor on. But for us, it's going to remain a big deal, and it's part of who we are. We are who we are, and it's part of the reason why people love showing up here.
I am what I am.
When people walk in and they're like, "Man, it just feels like I can breathe again." Part of the reason why people feel that way is because of how the Dream Team is serving. Well, the Dream Team is serving that way because they don't have to do this; they get to do this, and so it's all connected, right? But anyways, that's it.
That's
Synergy.
It. Yep. Come on.
Wow.
All right, Justin.
What a
What a time.
podcast.
What a time. That was good. That was more serious than it normally is.
Wasn't it?
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
I'm glad you're pleased. All right.
Yeah.
We got to go. We
gotta go. We got stuff to do.
We got
We got work to do.
meetings, and I got documents to go sign online. I do. That's true. That's a true story. I won't tell you what they are.
Things popping.
Yeah. Anyways, thank y'all. Make sure you go watch the sermon from Sunday or listen to it on the podcast. Like, subscribe.
Yeah, because this podcast
share,
didn't tell you anything about
leave
it.
a comment. Hit the bell.
All the stuff.
Do all those things. We appreciate it. Subscribe to the channel. It means a lot. Check us out online at transformationchurch.com or on all the socials at Transformation Pensacola. We'll see you guys.
Bye.
What's going on? Wow. See y'all later. Dude, this flying.